Looks great. Actually, if you're funny, you're sexy.
Why haven't I been in it?
And finally, there are just those gorgeous hunks who, well, I guess gorgeous says it all.
Mel is sexy because he's Australian. I mean, what can you say? And he's very feline.
I don't know. Am I?
So what does it take to be a sexy man?
Just play yourself and be humble.
Yeah, I'm a top flight, hold you tight, get you there by daylight, do you right all night, man.
All right, sexiest man on the planet. Whom did the readers pick? Well, the bottom gun in the top 5 at 8.9% was Tom Cruise.
At number 4, 1 out of 8 readers would entertain a decent proposal from Robert Redford.
At number 3, an attorney who wins on appeal, JFK Jr.
Still a respectable number 2, the most famous salad dressing maker in the history of Connecticut, Paul Newman.
And number 1, 18.8% of our poll respondents picked as the supremely sexy man. Oh, how I wish he were my twin, Mel Gibson.
Here's an interesting fact from People. Way back when, before Tom Selleck appeared on 8 People covers, before Magnum P.I., Tom was actually bachelor number 2 on the dating game, and he wasn't picked.
From good-looking guys, we turn to an equally important question for the future of humanity. Good-looking clothes.
Every time you think you're having a sense of humor, there is People magazine that's going to tell you you're on the worst best dressed list.
Seen over the sweep of 20 years of People, it's clear that good taste and bad are qualities that we are born with. But since 1980, People has rated celebs in their choices in clothes, hairstyles, and accessories, everything from sunglasses to boyfriends, showing us who has style, daring, and attitude.
I'd be hard put to say that there was in this day and age a Audrey Hepburn who was always impeccably dressed no matter what her appearance, or a Grace Kelly, or people of that sort.
There are some people who will always be considered classic dressers, but if you make the worst dressed list, don't worry, there is life after bad clothes. Joan Rivers went from fashion flop in 1990 to high style in 92. In 1983, Liz Taylor was chastised for the feather look, but made up for it in 1986 when people deemed her very tasteful in this outfit. Diane Keaton changed women's fashions in 1977, but in 94, critics complain it's still the same.
She got women into wearing slouchy men's clothes. Everybody has to change a little bit with the times, and she's starting to look a little scary, a little bit like she doesn't really know what's going on in the world. The 70s sort of started with bell-bottoms and leisure suits, Saturday Night Fever.
Actually, that's when the grunge really began, long, stringy hair, and people looking downright unclean and all of that sort of thing.
Julia Roberts is a good example of the grunge look of the 90s because she's a big star and she walks around looking pretty sloppy most of the time.
Cher appeared on the worst dressed list 6 times, and her string of 4 consecutive appearances is an enduring monument to her taste.
Cher is an entertainer, and she's a performer, and she does exactly that. She can permit herself to dress outrageously.
Cher can do more with a navel than any one person I have ever seen.
Burt Reynolds should get rid of his hair, his scarves, his bright red shirts, his belt buckles that say R on them, and start over.
The best and worst dressed night of the year, the Academy Awards.
I think Oscar night is one of the, but perhaps for the wrong reasons we watch it, but it's one of the most watchable programs in the history of television.
Because it's a very flashy night. You know, some of the people sometimes they try to be too flashy or over flashy. You know, it's like, but it's kind of fun.
Geena Davis is an interesting case. She wore an outfit to the Oscars a couple of years ago, sort of a Little Bo Peep outfit that she had designed herself, and I think that's what got her on people's worst dress list.
My favorite fashion development in the last 20 years is that it's okay to wear these shoes.
Now, Sybil's shoes look very sensible, but remember, she did make the worst dress list in '86 and '88.
We're going to turn now to music. Americans, and I don't think it's much different in the rest of the world, mark their lives by popular songs. There's the one we fell in love to, and the one we split up to. There's the one we like to play loud in the car, and the one we bounce up and down to during our morning workout. So now let's find out which song readers loved the most during these last 20 years.
I'm not into music the last 20 years because my kids have made me deaf. Absolutely. I've heard so much loud music that I no longer hear anything. So I plug in Neil Diamond from time to time. I like anything he does.
I think the song would have to be Lionel Richie, Hello. And when I met my first girlfriend, that's the song that was on the radio. I met her in front of a water ice stand across from Overbrook High School in Philadelphia.
Terrific songs all, but not the one our readers picked. What would be your favorite song in the last 20 years?
How about Breaking Up Is Hard to Do?
With a personal meaning?
Yes. How about you, Shirley?
I see. Given the subject of the evening, I suppose it'd be easy to pick Barbra Streisand and People.
People.
Right, but that actually came out 30 years ago with the #1 song on People's 20-year hit parade. Well, tell them, Larry King.
The Way We Were was a great song. It's one of Hamlish's best songs, maybe his best melody ever, and she sang the kicker out of it.
Light the corners of my mind.
Meet Alan and Marilyn Bergman and Marvin Hamlish, the creators of The Way We Were. How was it born? Where did it start?
Of the way we were.
I wanted to write a version of My Funny Valentine in major, so that in fact there was always hope, there was always this yearning, and there's always this feeling of like it's going to be okay. And what was wonderful about that, without having ever said that, was that one of the last lines that the Bergmans put in, so it's the laughter we will remember, literally took everything that I was trying to do musically and put it all in lyrically. So it was a great marriage of music and lyrics. It really was.
The rhymes are in the melody, and it's one of our jobs is to dig them out. Scattered pictures of the smiles we left behind. You know, when you have a melody like that, there are words on the tips of those notes. We have to find them.
The picture starts out in this college, and it said the school bells ring. And so the way I tend to write is, if I have a title in my head, I'll just sit there and this is all I had on day one. That's it. Now, after that, what happens in my day is I'm thinking about it, but I could be at the laundromat. I could be going somewhere else. I have that. Second, third day, this becomes that. We wanted the first lyric to occur at a certain point. I think Barbara probably was the one who said it finally, which was to make a little introduction, which we're just making, we're just, filling time here. But the time was nicely filled with the hum, which does, as you say, slowly bring you back.
The original lyric, the first word of the song was daydreams in our first pass through it. And memories was the beginning of the second half of the song after the bridge. And Barbara suggested that the word memories was more evocative right on the top of the song. Of course, she was right.
Light the